We're getting back to the good old days, Jack, where we used to make fun of AOC all the time. It was like she was the biggest news, right? We have this story from the Daily Mail. Quote, sell your $70,000 Tesla. Critics slam Learjet liberal AOC for not helping her grandmother after she posted photos of her Puerto Rican home ravaged by Hurricane Maria and blamed Trump. So here's what we know about AOC. First of all, I am not happy to see that her grandmother is living in terrible conditions because of the hurricane. It devastated Puerto Rico. I'd love to be able to help out. There's a lot of people doing great work.
We should do like a fundraiser.
A give send go for her
give
grandma.
Send go for AOC's grandma. Her in her abuela, right? Her abuela in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I normally I would say yes, but I kind of agree with the critics. I'm not going to assume AOC bought a Tesla in cash. People seem to think that this Nico woman, she has a $2 million apartment. She doesn't have $2 million in cash. She got a mortgage. All right. So she puts down, it still means she probably had like 20 grand for closing costs. And if she put on like 5%, so she still has a lot of cash.
Oh yeah.
To buy it. AOC probably put a down payment on the car.
Especially right now. I mean.
Right. So AOC doesn't have 70 grand. She probably put a down payment. She probably got a loan for the car, but she ain't doing too bad. Apparently she lives in that really nice luxury hotel luxury apartment in DC with an infinity pool. We heard that story. So she's gonna make
congressional salaries about $175,000 plus. By the way, you get per diem, you get mileage, it's
staff salaries.
Yes, you're doing fine. You're doing very well.
I have to imagine she makes money elsewhere. I doubt she's just sitting on a congressional salary.
Well, and we already know though that she did have that position with the Justice Dems, and there was that whole sort of like, and this was actually something that got investigated. It's why they were sort of disbanded a lot of it, because they were trying to run a political committee and a for-profit firm, but as the Justice Dems, was one feeding each other.
It was almost laundering cash, right? So it was
I would never accuse AOC of laundering cash. That's
I say almost because I can't make that official assessment because I don't know. But basically, one company hires her boyfriend,
right?
And then all of a sudden he moves in with AOC in New York. How convenient. Yeah, things like that. But this is the perfect example of it's not limousine liberal. They're calling her a Learjet liberal. She's not a liberal. She's
socialist.
Socialist. What would we call that? What's an expensive thing that starts with the letter S? We can make a
champagne socialist.
Yeah, that's a shot.
That one.
Do you get the a little bit of alliteration?
Close.
Chablis.
Chablis.
A Chablis socialist.
But it's still a shot.
I don't drink, but total shout out to Rachel Bovard, because she gave a sommelier presentation. Sommelier socialist, maybe.
There you go.
Yes. And I was enthralled. She just knew everything about it. She's apparently been studying it for 7 years. And I don't drink at all. Totally not my thing. But I was just really interested in the stories.
This is what we consistently get. I mean, we had limousine liberals for a long time. The people saying, "Oh, climate change," and then they fly in private jets. "Oh, climate change," they buy beachfront property. Now you get AOC saying, like, "My poor grandmother," and it's like, lady, you got money. I'm not going to pretend AOC is the 1% or anything like that.
This is Barack Obama's brother in Africa.
Oh, yeah, right.
That whole thing.
Yeah. So this is the I guess the consistent message we should expect from these leftists who claim to want to fight for the working class or tax the rich. It's like, dude, they're rich. Do they think they're working class? Like AOC, she's an educated elite. Now she's in Congress.
Yeah, if you're, this is actually something I thought about a lot as I was. So a lot of the book I wrote like a year ago. So throughout 2020, I'm writing this. So
the Antifa book.
Yeah, the Antifa book. But I get into all this stuff. I get into socialism, communism, anarchism. I get into all of it, right? And I kind of just use Antifa as the touch point for all of it. And so I went back and I was like sort of speed reading it, just to refresh myself and going through it. And, just really thinking about this issue of the working class and the people who claim to represent the working class. If you're someone who claims to represent the working class, you're probably not working class.
Right.
It's like never happened.
Yep.
It is so incredibly rare, because people who are in working class, they're working.
Yep.
They've got their families. They're busy. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and we want to. Obviously we want to have a system where people like that can have a family and can have home ownership and don't have to be in, up to their ears in debt, right? And they shouldn't need these massive, expansive political movements claiming, some sort of agency of acting in their benefit, because you're just not. You're typically you're either the new poor, or you're someone who's from that sort of upper middle class band of, well, I never really had any meaningful rite of passage, so my, finding myself, finding my finding my center is going to be helping those who are less fortunate than They don't know how to help themselves, but I do.
It's interesting how new classes emerge, right? You had like the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, and then there's that painting. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where it's like the workers and then the police, and then it's like a layer, and then the politicians are on top or whatever.
You have the one where they're like holding it up. Yeah. I've seen that.
So you have like AOC, who is certainly not the working class. She is an educated elite, bourgeois. She is wealthy by global standards, especially, and a 6-figure salary, nearly 200K, plus probably she makes money elsewhere. She's probably over 200,000 a year. She's really close to the 1%. Really close, but she's not. I think 1% is up to like 400 or something, 1,000 a year to be 1%. But she's well off. But the more it's interesting that there's not just the working class and the landlords anymore, or the merchant class. Then it's all of a sudden there are middle class people who are also landlords because they own a single property and they rent out part of it.
Right.
So it's what ends up happening is you get people like AOC who keep looking up. They see the ultra wealthy and they say, as long as I'm not them, I'm the working class. Although I don't think AOC has ever actually produced something. I think to be fair, she's now she's in her second term as a congresswoman. You don't expect a lot of bills to get passed by someone who's this new to Congress or anything. But what is she actually given to society that's helped? You know what I mean?
I'd love to see that. I really do think that there's sort of this struggle with AOC because when she first ran, she actually seemed to be quite more populist than she has when she's been in office. You could argue the same about Trump, by the way. But you wonder if there are issues. And I seem to remember there were a couple times where her and like Matt Gaetz might have, tweets that were both in support of the same thing in some of these instances. And you wish that you could see stuff like that going on where it's like, hey, we, completely disagree on, maybe this aspect of foreign conflict or certain climate change provisions, or actually no, I think it was climate change. Actually, it was a climate change thing where Matt Gaetz was on. And you'd love to see something where these sort of this new generation of culture warriors is actually finding common ground, and you have to imagine that would trickle down to the divisive street level of some of this stuff, or the divisive social media level, or the divisive, the school boards and the Facebook groups and everything else, where instead of it's, oh, I've got to defeat you, I've got to beat you, my team has to win. And so instead of making a team sport out of it, you say, hey, we're all on the same team. And that's called, it's kind of cliche, but that's the United States of America. We all live here.
It's not true anymore.
Can we do that?
No, I
understand you have a difference of opinion.
No, I read that article from American Greatness. I disagree with it. I think it went a little far, but I mean, Republicans right now are paid to sit on their hands and watch Democrats ravage the system. So even right now, with the conversation about conservatives using the language of the left, look at what they're talking about the January 6th Commission. Republicans keep going exactly where Democrats want them to go. It reminds me of when I was younger, I was playing a game of chess. I was like 18, and I was playing chess with this guy, and he was laughing, and he said, "You can only move where I let you move."
Right.
And he was right. He was better than me at chess, and he knew, if I go here, he'll go here because that's his best, and then he walked me into a checkmate. And then I, had to learn and get better at the game. So you look at what's happening right now. The left comes out and says January 6th insurrection. Meanwhile, we had a year plus 2, 3, 4 years of Antifa extremism. I remember watching in Berkeley, an old lady was standing in a park in the, was it MLK Park? And some Antifa threw an M80 at her, and then she falls backwards. Woman was probably like 60, 70 years old. She probably could have gotten really hurt. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? No commission, no investigation, not even a commission on COVID. But the Dems come out and say, January 6th commission. And you know what the Republicans do? No, it's political. You know what the Republicans should do? BLM commission, Antifa commission. And then when they say January 6th, the Republicans just do not respond at all in any meaningful capacity at all, like you didn't even hear them say it. Watch, Jack, say January 6th commission right now.
Tim, January 6th commission.
We should be investigating Antifa right now. I want to get a bill on the table to investigate Antifa. What do you say, Ian?
Hear, hear.
All right. Although the Democrats wouldn't agree, stop walking into their room. It's like I'm watching a fight.
What's mean on offense and defense, right? It's one side is projecting, the other side is deflecting. So the Republicans, and you've seen this again and again with the Republican Party. This is my party, right? Where they will count it as a win if they were able to stop the Democrats from doing X, right? Whatever it is. And you see this interplay again and again with the Republican Party. Well, it's a win because we stopped this. It's a win because we stopped that. Oh, we couldn't get this to stop. They couldn't get this one through, so that was right. No, that's not a win, right? That's stalemate. That's neutral. If you're talking World War I trench warfare.
It's a slow defeat.
They are going to win eventually if you allow them to continue to take over every single institution of society, every single cultural outlet of society, like has been happening. They are running the table with this because they knew that their policies, if they came out and just told you, early on, say back in the 1990s, hey, this is what we want, this is what we're going to do with America, it never would have flown in terms of public opinion.
There's this famous quote from a great philosopher, and he said, "Never fight an alligator underwater."
Oh.
He was right.
It was Ian said that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
I love it.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
we're like, wow, that's a good one.
That's actually a good one.
But yeah, look.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Right, that's what Republicans do. They're going into the territory of the Democrats thinking they're going to win. It's like, bro, you're on their home turf. You got to stand up for something and talk about what the American people want, what your constituents want. But apparently, I guess it wasn't wrong when the Democrats in the media were saying Republicans just want to own the libs. So what do? They say, hey, lib, make an argument. Wrong. Your argument about the January 6th Commission is wrong. And then the whole conversation, the whole time, all that anyone hears is storming the Capitol, riot, insurrection. Then you go and ask a leftist about Antifa, and they go, what's Antifa? Because Republicans don't talk about it.
Right. And so
Trump did.
This is why when Joe Biden comes out and says, Antifa, that's just an idea, right? He's setting the frame. He's already setting the frame of now you have to say, Antifa is not an idea. Antifa is this, this, and this. And are they idea? Are they not idea? Well, they don't have an organization. They don't have a leader. They don't have a headquarters. And you see this on the internet all the time. Every time I tweet about Antifa, they say, where's their headquarters, Jack? Where's their Antifa? Where's the headquarters? Who's the leader? Where's the organization? Do they have ranks? Do they have any of the uniforms? Actually, they do have uniforms. I say, well, they have uniforms.
They do have ranks.
They have logos. They have flags. They may not have stated ranks, but they do have a hierarchy
Yep.
in terms of their, red, green, yellow, in terms of the black blocks. So yeah, they do actually have all of these things.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.